The trading station called Nine floated in the empty space between three star systems. It was a place where species from across the galaxy came to buy and sell and make deals. Thousands of beings walked through its wide corridors every day. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had bodies made of living crystal, and on this particular day, one of them was human. Lucy Warren stepped off her freighter with a large bag over her shoulder and a dog walking beside her. The dog was named Bella. She was a mixed breed with brown and white fur and ears that flopped when she walked. Lucy had found her 8 years ago on a colony world that was dying from a plague. Bella had been a tiny puppy hiding under a broken table. Lucy had picked her up and carried her to the ship, and they had been together ever since. The aliens in the corridor stared at Bella as Lucy walked past. Most species in the galaxy did not keep animals as companions. They found it strange that humans traveled with creatures that served no obvious purpose. Bella was not a guard. She was not a worker. She was simply there because Lucy wanted her there. Lucy made her way to the cargo office to register her delivery. She was carrying medical supplies for a research station on the far side of the sector. It was not exciting work, but it paid well, and it let her see the galaxy. She had been flying freight routes for 15 years now, and she knew most of the stations in this part of space. The cargo officer was a tall being with blue skin and 4 eyes. He processed her paperwork and asked about the animal. Lucy explained that Bella was her companion. The officer made a note in his file and told her that animals were allowed on the station as long as they did not cause problems. Lucy thanked him and walked toward the commons area to find something to eat. The commons was a massive open space in the center of the station. It had food stalls from dozens of worlds and tables where travelers could sit and rest. Lucy found a stall that served something close to Earth food and ordered a meal. She sat at a table near the wall and shared small pieces with Bella under the table. She was halfway through her meal when she heard heavy footsteps approaching. She looked up and saw a group of walking toward her. They were a reptilian species known for their warrior culture. They had thick scales and stood nearly 7 feet tall. Their eyes were yellow with black slits, and their mouths were filled with sharp teeth. The one in front was wearing armor decorated with symbols of rank. Lucy recognized the markings of a military commander. He stopped at her table and looked down at her with obvious disgust. His name was, and he had been making trouble for humans throughout this sector for years. Lucy had heard stories about him. He believed that humans were weak and soft and did not deserve a place in the Galactic Assembly. He had been pushing for humans to lose their voting rights. So far he had not succeeded, but he had not stopped trying either. Spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. He said that he had heard there was a human on the station. He said he wanted to see for himself if the stories were true. He asked Lucy if she was really as small and fragile as her species appeared to be. Lucy kept eating. She told him that she was exactly as she appeared and nothing more. She said she had no interest in whatever game he was playing. Laughed. It was an ugly sound. He said that humans always tried to avoid confrontation because they knew they could not win. He said they hid behind their technology and their treaties because without those things they were nothing but prey animals waiting to be eaten. Lucy put down her fork. She looked up at the towering reptile and told him that she had cargo to deliver and no time for his nonsense. She said he could believe whatever he wanted about humans. It made no difference to her. This seemed to anger. He slammed his fist on the table hard enough to make the plates jump. He said that Lucy would show him respect. He said that her entire species would learn respect one way or another. By now a crowd had gathered. Beings from many worlds were watching the confrontation. Lucy could see them whispering to each other. She knew that whatever happened next would spread across the station within hours. Straightened up and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. He said that he was invoking an ancient right. He said that under the old laws of the galaxy, there was a way to settle disputes between species. He challenged Lucy to a contest of bonded beasts. Lucy did not know what that meant. She asked him to explain. Smiled, showing all of his teeth. He said that each species had creatures they had bonded with over the ages, war beasts, hunting animals, creatures bred for strength and violence. The contest was simple. Each challenger would bring their supreme beast and the animals would fight until one could not continue. The winner would bring honor to their species. The loser would bring shame. Lucy looked at Bella, who was sitting quietly at her feet. She looked back at. She asked what would happen if she refused. Said that refusing meant accepting defeat. It meant admitting that humans had no worthy beasts. It meant proving to the entire galaxy that humanity was exactly as weak as he claimed. Every species watching would remember. Every species would judge. Lucy understood now. This was a trap. If she refused, she would be handing exactly what he wanted. He would use her refusal as evidence that humans did not deserve respect. It would make his campaign against human rights that much easier. She thought about it for a long moment. Then she stood up from the table. She told that she accepted his challenge. The crowd murmured in surprise, looked pleased. He said the contest would take place in 3 station cycles. He said that would give Lucy time to prepare her beast for death. He said he hoped she would provide at least a few moments of entertainment before the end. He turned and walked away with his warriors following behind him. Lucy watched him go. Then she looked down at Bella, who was looking up at her with trusting brown eyes. Lucy reached down and scratched behind her ears. A 4-armed alien named rushed over from the crowd. She was an old friend of Lucy, and she looked terrified. She grabbed Lucy by the shoulders and asked her if she understood what she had just done. Lucy said she was beginning to wonder about that herself. Said that the supreme beast was called the. It was a monster the size of a small building. It had been bred for thousands of years to kill anything that moved. No creature had ever defeated one in the arena. Lucy looked down at Bella again. The dog wagged her tail. Lucy told that she would figure something out. She always did. But as she walked back toward her ship with Bella at her side, she could not shake the feeling that she had just made either the bravest or the decision of her life. Lucy spent the next several hours in her ship trying to learn everything she could about what she had agreed to. She searched through the station's public records and read old documents about the contest of bonded beasts. What she found did not make her feel any better. The contest was ancient. It dated back thousands of years to time before the Galactic Assembly existed. Back then, species settled their disputes through combat. Not combat between armies or fleets, but combat between the creatures each species had bonded with over their evolution. Every intelligent species in the galaxy had at least one animal they had formed a connection with. Some had dozens. These animals represented the soul of their people. To defeat another species' bonded beast was to prove superiority over that species itself. Lucy watched recordings of past contests. She saw massive creatures tearing each other apart in stone arenas. She saw things with claws and tentacles and armor plates fighting until one of them stopped moving. The crowds in these recordings cheered for blood. The winners stood proud over broken bodies. Then she found recordings of the. It was worse than it described. The stood 12 feet tall at the shoulder. It had 6 legs, each ending in claws that could tear through metal. Its body was covered in scales harder than most ship armor. It had 2 sets of jaws, one behind the other. The first set grabbed prey. The second set crushed bones. Its eyes were small and red and filled with nothing but hunger. It had been breeding these creatures for over 5,000 years. Each generation was larger and stronger and more violent than the one before. They fed them live prey to keep their killing instincts sharp. A single could destroy an entire settlement if set loose, and had one waiting in the station's containment area right now. Lucy turned off the recordings. She sat in silence for a long time. Bella walked over and put her head on Lucy's knee. Lucy stroked her fur and tried to think. The next morning came to visit. The 4-armed merchant looked like she had not slept at all. She begged Lucy to withdraw from the contest. She said there was no shame in refusing to fight an impossible battle. She said everyone would understand. Lucy asked if everyone would really understand. She asked what the other species would say about humans after she backed down. She asked if it would stop his campaign against human rights or if her retreat would only make him stronger. Did not have answers to these questions. Lucy said she needed to see the arena, offered to take her there. They walked through the station together with Bella padding along at Lucy's side. The other beings they passed looked at Lucy with pity in their eyes. Word had spread quickly. Everyone knew about the challenge. Everyone assumed Lucy was going to die. The arena was deep in the oldest part of the station. It had been built centuries ago when 9 was first constructed. It was a massive circular pit surrounded by thousands of seats rising up toward the ceiling. The floor of the pit was covered in sand that had been stained dark in many places. Lucy did not want to think about what had caused those stains. She walked down to the edge of the pit and looked out across the empty space. It was large enough to hold a small spacecraft that would have plenty of room to move, plenty of room to chase, plenty of room to kill. stood beside her, wringing her four hands together. She said that Lucy could still change her mind. She said that no one expected a human to fight this battle. She said that Lucy had nothing to prove. Lucy smiled a little. She said that was exactly the problem. She said humans always had something to prove. The galaxy looked at them and saw small, soft creatures with no claws and no scales and no natural weapons. The galaxy assumed humans were weak because they did not look strong. But the galaxy did not understand what humans really were. Asked what Lucy meant. Lucy sat down on the edge of the pit and called Bella over. The dog came and sat beside her, leaning against her leg. Lucy scratched behind her ears and thought about how to explain. She said that humans had not always been at the top of their world. Long ago on Earth, humans were prey. They were hunted by creatures with bigger teeth and sharper claws and faster legs. Humans should have been wiped out. They should have been just another failed species in the long history of evolution. But they survived. They survived because they learned to work together. They learned to form bonds. They learned that the pack was stronger than the individual. Listen, but still looked confused. Lucy pointed at Bella. She said that dogs were not created by humans. Dogs chose humans. Thousands and thousands of years ago, wolves began following human camps. They ate the scraps humans left behind. Over time, the wolves that were friendliest to humans survived better than the wolves that were not. And the humans who worked well with wolves survived better than the humans who worked alone. It was a partnership. Both species made each other stronger. She said that humans and dogs had been together for over 40,000 years. That was longer than most species in the galaxy had been using fire. In that time, dogs had become something more than animals. They could read human emotions. They could understand human words. They could sense things humans could not see or hear or smell. And humans had learned to trust dogs in ways they trusted nothing else. Asked if Lucy really thought the small furry creature could fight. Lucy laughed. She said no. She said Bella could not fight her. That was not how dogs worked. Dogs did not fight for humans. Dogs worked with humans. The bond was not about strength or violence. It was about something else entirely. Asked what Lucy was planning. Lucy stood up and brushed the sand from her clothes. She said she was not entirely sure yet, but she was starting to get an idea. She said they had spent 5,000 years breeding the perfect killing machine, but they had forgotten something important. Killing was not the same as winning. She walked back toward the exit with Bella at her side. Called after her, asking what she should tell the others. Lucy looked back over her shoulder. She said to tell them that the human was not afraid. She said to tell them that humanity had faced monsters before. She said to tell them that tomorrow they would learn something new about the small, soft creatures from Earth. Then she was gone, leaving standing alone in the ancient arena, wondering what her strange human friend could possibly be thinking. The day of the contest arrived, and the arena was full. Beings from across the sector had traveled to Nine to witness what everyone assumed would be a slaughter. The seats rose up in great circles around the fighting pit, and every single one was occupied. There were in their warrior armor cheering for their champion. There were merchants and travelers and diplomats who had come to see history made. There were even a few humans scattered through the crowd, looking worried and afraid for their fellow being. Lucy stood in the preparation chamber beneath the arena. It was a small stone room with a single door leading up to the pit. She could hear the roar of the crowd above her. She could feel the vibration of thousands of feet stamping in anticipation. The air smelled like dust and old blood. Bella sat beside her, calm and patient. The dog had no idea what was about to happen. She only knew that Lucy was nearby, and that was enough. Her tail wagged slowly against the stone floor. Lucy knelt down and took Bella's face in her hands. She looked into those brown eyes and spoke softly. She told Bella that she needed her to trust her. She told her that no matter what happened up there, she needed Bella to stay calm and listen. She told her that they were going to do this together the way they always did everything. Bella licked her face. Lucy smiled and stood up. She checked the small pouch at her belt one more time. Inside were some treats and a ball that Bella liked to chase. They were not weapons. They were not armor. They were just the simple things that connected a human to her dog. A horn sounded from above. It was time. Lucy walked up the ramp toward the light with Bella at her side. The noise hit her like a physical force when she emerged into the arena. Thousands of voices shouting and screaming. The afternoon sun from the station's artificial sky beating down on the sand. The smell of alien bodies packed close together. It was overwhelming. But Lucy kept walking. She walked to the center of the pit and stopped. Bella stayed right beside her, never more than a few feet away. The dog's ears were up and alert. She could sense that something important was happening. On the far side of the arena, a massive gate began to open. The crowd fell silent as something moved in the darkness beyond. Strode out first. The commander was dressed in ceremonial armor that gleamed in the light. Behind him came 6 warriors pulling heavy chains, and at the end of those chains was the... Lucy had seen recordings of the creature, but nothing had prepared her for seeing it in person. It was enormous. Its 6 legs churned the sand as it walked. Its scales were dark green and thick as ship plating. Its 2 sets of jaws snapped at the air, hungry for something to destroy. The chains holding it were as thick as Lucy's arm, and the warriors controlling them strained with every step. The crowd erupted in cheers. The in attendance roared their approval. This was their champion. This was the supreme beast of their people. This was death made flesh. Walked toward Lucy with a smile on his face. He stopped about 30 feet away and looked at her. Then he looked at Bella. His smile became a laugh. He asked if this was a joke. He asked if Lucy meant to insult him and his people by bringing a pet to a contest of bonded beasts. He said he had expected humans to at least try to put up a fight. Lucy said nothing. She just stood there with her hand resting on Bella's head. The laughter spread through the section of the crowd. Other species looked on with confusion and pity. The few humans in attendance covered their faces in shame. A great crystalline being floated down from a platform above the arena. This was High Arbiter, the ancient judge who oversaw all formal challenges on 9. The Arbiter's body was made of living crystal that caught the light and scattered it in rainbow patterns. Its voice was like the ringing of bells. The Arbiter asked Lucy to confirm that the animal beside her was her bonded beast. The Arbiter noted that this creature did not appear in any records of Earth's war animals. The Arbiter asked if Lucy understood what she was doing. Lucy said that she understood. She said that Bella was her bonded companion. She said that humans did not have war beasts the way other species did. She said that humans had something different. The Arbiter considered this for a long moment. Then it announced that the contest was valid. The rules stated only that each challenger must bring a creature they had bonded with. There was no requirement about size or strength or purpose. If this small animal was truly the human's bonded beast, then the contest would proceed. Smile faded slightly. He had expected Lucy to admit defeat when faced with the reality of the... He had not expected her to actually go through with this. He turned to his warriors and gave the command to release the chains. The 6 warriors unhooked the restraints and scrambled back toward the gate. The stood free for the first time since entering the arena. It raised its massive head and let out a roar that shook dust from the ancient walls. Then it turned its red eyes toward Lucy and Bella. The creature began to move, slowly at first, testing the ground, measuring the distance, then faster. Its 6 legs drove it forward like a living tank. The sand exploded behind it as it charged. Lucy did not run. She did not scream. She did not show any fear at all. She knelt down beside Bella and whispered something in her ear. Then she stood up and faced the charging monster. And she laughed. The sound cut through the roar of the crowd and the thunder of this charge. It was genuine laughter, not nervous, not afraid, just the honest amusement of someone who knew something that no one else did. Then Lucy put 2 fingers to her lips and whistled. It was a sharp, clear sound that rose above all the noise of the arena. Bella's ears perked up. Her tail stopped wagging. Her entire body tensed with focus and attention. It was almost upon them now, 20 feet away, 15, 10. Lucy gave a single command in a calm, clear voice. Bella moved. Bella did not attack, though. She did not try to bite it or fight it or meet its charge head-on. That would have been suicide. Instead, she did something that confused every being watching in the arena. She ran to the side. The had been charging directly at Lucy. It expected its prey to freeze or flee in a straight line. That was what prey always did. But Bella cut across its path at an angle, barking once sharp and loud. The sound caught the monster's attention, and it turned to follow this new target. Bella was fast, not as fast as the over long distances, but fast enough to stay ahead of it in short bursts. She zigzagged across the sand, never running straight, never letting the creature build up momentum. Every time it got close, she changed direction. Every time it lunged, she was already somewhere else. The crowd fell silent. This was not what they had expected. This was not a fight, this was something else entirely. Lucy had not moved from her spot in the center of the arena. She stood completely still watching Bella work. Her eyes tracked every movement of both animals. Her lips moved occasionally, giving commands in a voice too soft for the crowd to hear. But Bella heard. Bella always heard. The dog circled back around the drawing, its attention away from Lucy. The monster snapped its jaws, trying to catch this small, annoying creature that would not stand still. Its movements became frustrated and jerky. It was used to prey that ran in terror. It was used to predators that stood and fought. It had no instincts for dealing with something that simply refused to play by either set of rules. Watched from the stands with her 4 hands pressed against her mouth. She had no idea what she was seeing. She only knew that Lucy and Bella were still alive, and that was more than anyone had expected. The pattern continued for several minutes. Bella would dart in close enough to get this attention, then dart away before it could strike. She never attacked. She never showed aggression. She simply moved in ways that the monster could not predict. And slowly something began to change. It was getting tired. The creature had been bred for explosive violence. It was designed to charge and kill and destroy in quick, brutal attacks. It was not designed for endurance. Its massive body required enormous amounts of energy to move. Every failed charge, every missed strike, every wasted lunge drained it a little more. Bella, on the other hand, was barely winded. Dogs had evolved as persistence hunters on Earth. They did not need to be faster than their prey. They only needed to keep going after their prey got tired. Humans had learned this trick from wolves long ago. Chase the prey until it cannot run anymore. Never attack until victory is certain. Lucy finally moved. She walked calmly across the sand toward where Bella was keeping the busy. Her voice rang out clear and steady, giving new commands. Bella adjusted her pattern, responding instantly to every word. The crowd began to murmur. They were starting to understand that they were witnessing something unprecedented. The human and the dog were not 2 separate fighters. They were one unit working in perfect coordination. The human provided strategy and direction. The dog provided speed and awareness. Together they were doing something impossible. Stood at the edge of the arena with growing rage on his face. He screamed at the to kill. He demanded that his supreme beast destroy these pathetic creatures, but the monster was beyond listening. It was exhausted and confused and running on pure frustration. It made one more desperate charge. It put everything it had into this final attack, lunging at Bella with both sets of jaws open wide. Bella did not run this time. She dropped flat against the sand, and the monster sailed over her, missing by inches. Its momentum carried it forward, and its legs tangled as it tried to stop and turn. The massive creature stumbled. Its front legs buckled. It crashed into the sand, sending up a cloud of dust. And it did not get up. It lay on its side, breathing in great heaving gasps. Its red eyes were dim with exhaustion. Its legs twitched weakly but could not find the strength to lift its body. The supreme beast of the people had been defeated without a single wound on its armored hide. Bella trotted back to Lucy and sat down beside her. Her tongue hung out and her tail wagged. She looked up at Lucy, waiting for approval the way she always did after doing something her human asked. Lucy knelt down and scratched behind her ears. She told Bella that she was a good girl. She told her that she was the best dog in the entire galaxy. Bella's tail wagged harder. The arena was completely silent. No one knew what to say. No one knew what they had just witnessed. This was not how contests were supposed to end. There was supposed to be blood. There was supposed to be death. There was supposed to be a clear display of strength and power. Instead, there was just a human woman kneeling in the sand, praising her dog, while the most feared war beast in the sector lay helpless nearby. High Arbiter floated down to the arena floor. The crystalline being examined the fallen for a long moment. Then it turned to face the crowd. The Arbiter announced that the contest was complete. The beast was unable to continue. By the ancient rules, this meant that the human challenger had won. The words echoed through the arena like thunder. The human had won. The few humans in the crowd leaped to their feet, cheering. Other species sat in stunned silence, still trying to process what had happened. The section erupted in angry shouts and accusations of cheating. But Lucy paid no attention to any of it. She just sat in the sand with Bella and smiled. They had done it together, just like they always did everything. Pushed through the crowd of warriors around him and stormed onto the arena floor. His yellow eyes blazed with fury. His clawed hands were clenched into fists. He stopped a few feet from Lucy and demanded that the result be thrown out. He said this was not a real victory. He said the human had cheated. He said the contest required combat and there had been no combat. He demanded a rematch with different rules. Lucy stood up slowly. Bella moved to stand beside her, watching the angry reptile with calm, alert eyes. Lucy asked what rules she had broken. She asked him to name one thing she had done that was not allowed. She reminded him that the contest was between bonded beasts and that her beast had won. The was down. Bella was still standing. That was the end of it. Snarled that this proved nothing. He said that humans were still weak. He said that one trick in an arena did not change what humanity was. Lucy shook her head. She said that had missed the point entirely. She said this contest had never been about strength or weakness. She said it had been about something much more important. The arbiter floated closer, and the crowd fell silent, straining to hear. Lucy walked toward until she was close enough to touch him. She was not afraid. She looked up at the towering reptile and spoke in a clear voice that carried across the arena. She said that they had spent thousands of years creating the perfect weapon. They had bred a creature of pure violence. They knew nothing but hunger and rage. It fought because that was all it knew how to do. It served because it had no choice. She turned and gestured to Bella, who was still sitting patiently in the sand watching her. She said that humans had done something different. Humans had not created dogs. Humans and dogs had created each other. 40,000 years ago, two species had looked at each other across a cold, dark world and decided to face the future together. Not as master and servant, not as weapon and wielder, but as partners. She said that Bella did not obey her because she was forced to. Bella worked with her because she wanted to. Because over 40,000 years, dogs had learned to love humans and humans had learned to love dogs. The bond between them was not chains or fear or breeding. It was trust. It was loyalty. It was family. The crowd was completely silent now, even had stopped snarling. Lucy said that this was the thing the galaxy did not understand about humans. Humans were small and soft and had no natural weapons, but humans were never alone. Humans built bonds. Humans formed packs. Humans found other creatures and other people and other species and said we are stronger together than apart. She said that they had lost not because it was weaker than Bella. They had lost because it had no partner. It had no one to think for it when rage clouded its mind. It had no one to watch its blind spots. It had no one to trust. They had created the perfect killing machine, and in doing so they had created something that would always be alone. Lucy looked around at the thousands of beings watching from the stands. She said that humanity would never be alone. Humans made friends everywhere they went. They formed bonds with animals and aliens and anyone who was willing to meet them halfway. That was human strength, not muscles, not claws, not armor. Just the simple truth that together was better than apart. Stood frozen. He had no response. Everything he believed about strength and power and dominance had just been turned upside down by a small woman and her dog. Lucy offered him something unexpected. She offered him mercy. She said that she did not want shame for the. She said that this contest could be forgotten. She said that could go back to his people and tell them whatever story he wanted. But she asked him to stop his campaign against humanity. She asked him to give humans a chance to prove themselves as partners rather than enemies. Stared at her for a long moment. Then, without a word, he turned and walked away. His warriors collected the fallen and followed him out of the arena. The crowd erupted. Beings of every species rose to their feet. Some were cheering. Some were crying. Some were just staring at Lucy and Bella with new understanding in their eyes. The small woman with the floppy-eared dog had just changed how the galaxy thought about humanity. Rushed down from the stands and threw all four arms around Lucy. The merchant was weeping openly. She said that she finally understood. She said that she finally knew why Lucy never seemed lonely even when traveling alone through the empty reaches of space. Bella was not a pet. Bella was not property. Bella was her family. Lucy hugged her friend back. She said that humans had learned a long time ago that family was not always about blood. Family was about the bonds you chose to build. Family was about showing up for each other no matter what. Family was about trust. In the days that followed, the news spread across the sector and beyond. The story of the human and her dog became legend. Other species began asking questions about Earth animals. They wanted to know how humans had formed such bonds. They wanted to know if such partnerships were possible for them too. His challenge to human voting rights. The delegation left 9 quietly and did not return. Some said that had been changed by what he witnessed. Some said he was simply too ashamed to continue. Lucy did not care either way. The result was the same. A week later, Lucy finished her cargo delivery and prepared to leave the station. Came to say goodbye. She asked where Lucy was heading next. Lucy said she did not know yet. She said she would find something. She always did. She walked up the ramp into her ship with Bella at her side. The dog's tail wagged as they entered the familiar corridors that smelled like home. Lucy settled into the pilot's seat and began the launch sequence. Bella curled up in her usual spot on the blanket beside the console. As the freighter lifted off and turned toward the stars, Lucy looked down at her companion. She smiled and reached over to scratch behind those floppy ears. Bella looked up at her with pure, uncomplicated love. The same love that dogs had given humans for 40,000 years. The same love that humans had given back. In the vast emptiness between stars, Lucy Warren flew onward. And she was never alone.